A very good morning to all. I welcome you all to the sixth day of the Innovation Week. Innovation Week is a week where we celebrate everything entrepreneurship. It is in line with the National Startup Day, which is tomorrow, 16th January. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji announced 16th January as the foundation day of Startup India and called it the National Startup Day. Um, the National Startup Day is extremely important. We organize various activities with respect to entrepreneurship across the country. Um, to chip in and talk about a little more about the Startup India initiative, it was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 16 January 2016. It is based on three pillars, and one of the pillar that we talk about is incubation and Acupedia within it. There's handholding and support as well, and there's partnerships. So, moving to the mentorship series that we've organized for you today. Today is a special session. Uh, we have organized. It's the fourth session as part of the MAARG Mentorship series. The MAARG platform is the national mentorship platform, which was launched by the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal. The idea was to connect startups who are looking for mentorships with mentors who have the expertise in that particular area. The platform is entirely pro bono. We have more than 1,200 mentors across India and abroad. Um, the idea is to connect startups that are looking for mentorship in specific sectors, in specific functionalities, in specific industries with experts from that area. So this is our fourth episode in the mentorship series that we're organizing specially for our budding entrepreneurs. This session talks about leveraging the Startup India initiative. What are the kind of support that Startup India provides to startups or even aspiring entrepreneurs? Also, how is it that one can maximize these initiatives that are provided by the government? Now, I have with me Mr. Mukund Nahoti. He is a part of the Startup India team. He is a manager at Startup India and leads our mentorship vertical. Um, Today, he will be talking about what exactly the Startup India initiative entails, what are the various funding schemes that you can access, what are the various schemes, what are the initiatives that you can take, that you can leverage from with respect to specifically mentorship, partnerships, and so on. So, without much delay, I will hand it over to my colleague Mukund. There you go.
Thank you, Shambhavi. Good morning, everyone. So today we'll be talking about what Startup India is, the genesis of Startup India initiative, what all activities are covered under it, how the initiative aims to provide support to all kinds of startups across the country. This is an interactive session, so any questions that you might have can be typed into the chat, and we will take it up live, either in middle of the session, and we'll have a dedicated Q&A session towards the end as well. So I just pull up my screen and start with all the different schemes and initiatives which are under the Startup India umbrella, how the scheme started, the journey that has been so far, and what we are planning to do ahead over the next few years. Is my screen visible? Great.
It's visible.
Yeah. So we can start by looking at the startup ecosystem in India, how the government sees the ecosystem, and how do we identify the right players to support. So the focus on startups started on 16th January 2016, when the Startup India initiative was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister, with 19 action points across three pillars to enable growth of startups and the entire ecosystem in the country. These pillars included simplification and handholding with respect to compliance and processes, setting up a company, getting into business, funding support, which is the lifeblood of a startup in its initial and growth stages, and providing incentives to the entire investor ecosystem as well to support Indian startups, and creating a bridge between industry, academia, and the real innovators, which are our entrepreneurs, so that they can improve upon their products and also bring them to market and commercialize them. Our 19 action points are divided across 3 pillars, and these 3 pillars each have many initiatives where we look to support startups in different stages of their life cycle. To enable all these things, we work with DPIIT, under DPIIT, and deal with all stakeholders in the startup ecosystem, be it investors, entrepreneurs, academic institutions which provide research facilities, government and ministries which provide housing to innovative ideas, opportunities to startups, funding grants to startups. We work with accelerators and incubators which help budding entrepreneurs refine their ideas and build their businesses. We also work with international organizations and foreign missions to take our startups worldwide, help them access global markets, help them access global opportunities. Apart from that, we also work extensively with regulators and support institutions to make compliances, to make regulatory burden easier for startups in their initial stages, so that they may focus on building a business over dealing with all these regulatory issues. So far, in the journey of Startup India over the last 8 years, we have seen some good progress. The number of registered startups in the country has gone from 4,000 to over a lakh. The number of districts having startups, Indian startups, has gone from 120 to almost all the districts in the country today. Today, every state has their own startup policy supporting, providing dedicated support to the startups in their state, apart from whatever we do at Startup India. We have seen over 100 new unicorns come into the picture over the last 8 years, showing the length and depth of the Indian startup ecosystem. And along the way, around 1 million jobs have been created, with almost 11 jobs on an average being created by every startup. Now, the Startup India initiative itself has seen some great traction. We have over 6 lakh registered users on our Startup India hub, which is the central place where everyone from the startup ecosystem can interact, find out new opportunities, and get access to the latest in terms of what is happening in the ecosystem. Our funding pillar has seen some growth with our fund of funds and the seed fund scheme, where we have made available over 10,000 crores for growth stage startups and over 1,000 crores for idea stage or seed stage startups, to help them build prototypes and bring their idea to a viable business. We've also supported startups in public procurement to help them participate in government services and supply their goods and services to the government. Innovative solutions, as a result, enter into the public domain and can be tried out and field tested by different ministries. To take the message of Startup India to the ecosystem, we have also conducted Startup Yatra, where we visited different district, touched base with different individuals and incubation centers to sort of reignite the spirit of entrepreneurship across the country. In terms of regulatory reforms and getting some benefits for startups, we have been able to so far enable 57 reforms across like raising capital, registering a company, compliance, registering patents, etc. So this is the startup ecosystem in the country right now. We've become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world in terms of number of startups. 50% of our startups are today coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. All of them are creating jobs, and over 6.5 lakh registered users on Startup India Hub prove that we have a big startup community in the country. Now, we have been talking about what we do for startups, how many startups are there, what are the number of startups. But a core question that we need to answer here is, what is a startup? To provide benefits and our schemes and services to startups, the government and DPIIT have defined a clear criteria of what constitutes a startup. So how you become a startup is you register an entity. It can be a private limited company, it can be a limited liability partnership, it may be a registered partnership, it may be a one-person company as well. The date of incorporation should be less than 10 years old. After 10 years, we consider a business to be more mature. The startup must not cross revenue of 100 crores in any of the previous 10 years since it has been incorporated. Once the revenue of 100 crores is crossed, it is considered to be a bigger corporation that does not need support from the government. And the startup should be working on a business idea which is innovative, scalable, leads to job creation and wealth creation. So if any company or a business meets all these criteria, they can apply to DPIIT and get recognized as a startup to avail all the benefits that we offer. The recognition process is completely online. It is done by the National Single Window System. There is no physical interface required. If you have all documents ready, you can just upload it to the application form, self-certify a few things, and get recognition as a startup, which comes with a lot of benefits. Now, these are the benefits that any recognized startup gets in the country. So you get easier norms for public procurement. So if you participate in any central government tender, there is no need to provide any EMD. There is no need to have uh, prove your eligibility as per criteria for prior turnover or prior experience. All these 3 points are relaxed for startups so that they may participate in public procurement. We offer them rebate on patent applications, trademark applications. We also have a lot of resource partners who can help you file these patents so that your innovations are secured. So, startups are also offered tax exemptions for income tax and angel tax under Section 80 IAC and Section 56. This is done to encourage innovative startups and help them save funds to grow their businesses. Startups also have the option of easier compliance, meaning that they can self-certify certain environmental clearances in the initial years so that they can focus more on business. DPIT recognized startups also have option to apply for funding through Fund of Funds and the Seed Fund scheme, which is run by DPIT through various intermediaries to get access to growth stage capital or seed stage capital. We'll cover more on these funding opportunities later in this session. And all the schemes, all the initiatives, all the networking happens on our Startup India hub, which is a single point of contact for all ecosystem players in the startup ecosystem in India. So the hub so far has seen over 6.5 lakh registered users. We get over 200,000 users on the website every day, every month, and they spend over 4 to 5 minutes on the site looking at what is new. We keep coming up with new challenges from corporates, ministries, which offer opportunities to startups. We keep coming up with events where startups can showcase their products and get national level recognition. So anybody who wants to be a part of the startup ecosystem, Startup India Hub is a good place to get started at. Even as a student or a aspiring entrepreneur, you can create an account and know about various initiatives of the Startup India team. So these are our primary functions on a day-to-day basis that we are focusing on to make it easier for startups to uh, grow and develop their business in India. We look at policy interventions. So enable ease of doing business for new companies and startups. Work on specific sectors where there is high potential for startups to grow. Uh, Focus on making compliance easier for them through self-certification in the initial stages of their journey. We also do a lot of stakeholder engagement and facilitation, helping startups connect with ministries where their products can be helpful, helping startups connect with corporates where they can supply products and needs of corporates that can be solved through innovative solutions. We also work with incubators and accelerators to help startups get access to the right infrastructure to build upon their ideas and go from an idea to a good business model. We also work with different state governments to help them align their policies for startups. Every state wants to attract new business and new entrepreneurs, and states have actually come forward and created a lot many incentives at state level for entrepreneurs starting up in their states. Apart from that, we do a lot of initiatives to provide funding supports to Indian startups at different stages of their life cycle. So we have a credit guarantee scheme, seed fund scheme. We also have Investor Connect platform to connect startups to relevant investors so they can get access to the right funding at the right time. We'll cover more on funding also in the next few slides. We also have international engagement. So when we talk about international engagements, we do connect with different startup organizations in different countries. We take our startups to help them get exposure there, to get access to the markets there, to get access to investors there. We enable market access through official bridges that we have built with these countries, and we help startups mobilize markets for their products and as well as access to funding through these bridges. So far, in terms of international market access, we have built bridges with over 20 countries. We have done international engagements, bilateral engagements with a lot of countries, as mentioned on this slide. And we do work with different international organizations as well, be it WIPA, be it G20, to take the message of Indian startups to the world. These are a few marquee events that Indian startups participate in. Startup India is also very active in making sure that our well-performing startups who are innovating in different sectors get a chance to be recognized at a world stage. So all these events are attended by startups from the country with support from DPI. We also work with corporate partners to help them access to innovative solutions that startups offer. This is done via enablement of pilot orders or challenges or grants given to startups. Over the last 8 years, we have worked with some big names to create opportunities for startups across different fields and across sectors. If you have a look at this slide, and the companies, almost all of them are household names, and they cover everything from oil and gas to financial markets to tech companies. If you have any product that might be of use to these companies, you can actually come to the Startup India Hub, look out for challenges and apply to the same to get connected to the right people who might have use for your solution or who would be able to help you grow your solution and build a bigger business. Another aspect that we try to solve for is providing startups with access to government stakeholders in terms of participation in public procurement. So any ministry utilizing any product or service or any works that are innovative, we have created a dedicated startup runway on the government e-marketplace where innovative solutions are listed so that government buyers can actually recognize the potential and try them out. We allow for easy category and product wise listing so that any officer looking for a solution can easily find that on the startup runway. Apart from that, to encourage participation of startups in public procurement, the relaxations with respect to EMD, prior turnover, and prior experience has been launched. As a result of all these initiatives, over 19,600 startups are now supplying to the government using GEM, and they have supplied orders worth nearly 15,000 crores over the last 4 to 5 years. Some governments also directly engage with startups in terms of grants, prizes, and challenges when they're looking for innovative solutions to societal problems. These are some of the ministries that have already collaborated with Startup India to launch challenges and find innovative solutions. These challenges have resulted in pilot orders, work orders for startups, and a lot of grants and prize money distributed for them to refine their solutions and take it to the market. For all these corporate challenges, government engagements, Startup India Hub is the right place where on a monthly basis, startups can come and see what challenges are being launched, and if any challenge is relevant to their product or service, they can apply for the same and get more exposure. Then another key aspect for startups is the mentorship, access to right mentorship. To enable access to mentorship for startups across the country, MAARG, the National Mentorship Portal, was launched last year, where we have onboarded mentors who have volunteered to work on a pro bono basis with Indian startups to provide them to help them in their journey of growth. So how this portal works is we manually vet each and every mentor to make sure that they are experts in their industry, and they can provide the right access to the solutions or guidance that startups need. We also have automatic AI based matchmaking so that startups don't need to look through profiles. They just need to enter their need on the MAARG portal, and they are shown a list of mentors who might be able to help them with their problem. So far, over 1,300 expert mentors are registered on MAARG, and we will have a follow-up session tomorrow as well in detail on MAARG, on how startups can engage with these mentors and leverage the MAARG portal to like refine their products and ideas. We also have a lot of cohorts on MAARG, which are dedicated to specific groups of startups, be it sector-wise or demographic-wise, where we curate sessions for startups that can help them uh, based on their own requirements. So we have had cohorts done for women entrepreneurs. We have had cohort for entrepreneurs working in the EV industry. We have had cohorts for entrepreneurs working from the Northeast, and we keep adding more and more such cohorts on the MAARG platform. Another new initiative that has come up recently is the Investor Connect platform. Investor Connect platform is a matchmaking platform to connect investors and startups. Uh, Only verified VC investors are onboarded to the platform, and they can launch funding opportunities. Startups are allowed to create detailed profiles on this platform, and using that one profile and pitch deck, they can apply to multiple investors in one go. Apart from that, you are able to filter out investors based on the industry and sector that your idea is on, that you're working on, and use that actually to find the right investor, connect, and take that conversation forward. Investor Connect platform is also live today for DPIT recognized startups. And as of now, there are 30 live investment opportunities where investors have posted that they are looking for relevant startups in their funding space. So anyone who's DPIT recognized can go sign up to the Investor Connect platform and explore these funding opportunities as well. Apart from this, we do a lot of marquee programs with respect to outreach to startups, enabling them a platform to showcase their products and services, recognizing good startups. So we have national startup awards where across categories from different states, a lot of recognition is offered to startups which are working in key areas and developing innovative solutions. Our Innovation Week is another celebration of the startup, which end culminates on the National Startup Day. Here we do a lot of events and outreach programs to help startups and generate the buzz in the ecosystem to stimulate more entrepreneurs to take the plunge. We've also recently concluded the Startup 20 Summit as a part of G20, which was another successful global level event where we took the voice of the startups to a global level, and leaders across the world uh, took an initiative to work on developing ecosystems for healthy growth of startups across the world. So I guess that covers a list of different initiatives that we are running overview. Anyone who wants to sort of is thinking of getting into entrepreneurship should definitely utilize all these services through Startup India to enable their growth and help them in their journey. Uh, I also have a few more things to cover on funding. We can take a break here to see if there are any questions, and post that we'll take up the next part of the session.
Thank you, Mukund, for covering all of what Startup India does very well. First of all, just an answer to all of the participants here asking if we can get a recording. Since this is a YouTube live link, you can always come back to this session and understand what all has been discussed here, and also get access to the slides that Mukund shared before. Coming to the next question, Mukund, there is one question that we also had from an audience that I will just highlight. But if you could just highlight, since this is a session for budding entrepreneurs specifically, if I'm an aspiring entrepreneur and I just briefly know what product I want to do, product what I want to create, and I want to open a company, where do I start from? Like, what is it that I do? I just have my smartphone in my hand and I have an idea, and how do I go ahead?
Okay, so once you have had a chance to work on your idea, done market research and see that it's a viable solution that can be commercialized, you should connect to the ecosystem enablers. So you can connect to incubators to work on your idea, refine your idea. Once you're confident, you may register an entity and get recognized as a startup. Then you will be able to access all these benefits. Once you are a recognized startup, you can take your idea to an incubator to apply for seed funds to get money to build a prototype or develop a market ready or a MVP, which can be used to test the market. You can get mentorship if you need access to specialized mentors who are not available in your area. You can register on MAARG and get access to mentorship from them. If you have a product that is ready and you want recognition or you want market access, again, we have programs that we discuss that can help with it. So the basic idea would be to uh, develop an idea, look at the market, and once you're fairly confident that this is something that might be a tenable solution, register an entity and start working on it. uh, Along the way, you can use all the help we have a lot of free resources also available in case you want to develop a business plan, if in case you want to refine your ideas, in case you want to know what it takes to start up a company, run a company. All of that is also available as free learning resources on the Startup India Hub, which I encourage any aspiring entrepreneur to take a look at.
Thank you, Mukund. We have a question with regarding seed fund scheme, but since you'll be covering the funding session later, I think we can address those in case. A question in the comment section is this scheme open for foreigners?
So only startups which are owned Indian owned, so more than 50% shareholding has to be by Indians are allowed to apply for DPIT recognition, and as a result, only they are able to utilize all these programs.
Okay, Mukund, thank you. We have one question here. Can you support the students who are pursuing graduation in a government aided degree or colleges?
So in terms of support to student entrepreneurs, as of now, what we offer is learning support and guidance. We can help you connect to incubators to develop your ideas. But in terms of funding support, you have to be a recognized startup. So your entity must exist just to just so that there is certain level of seriousness also involved that you are dedicatedly working towards a solution. Before you get to that stage, it is advisable to look at the learning resources, develop and refine your idea, work with incubators to make sure that it's a commercializable idea, and then take the plunge and be a part of all these initiatives.
Absolutely, Mukund. And there's also an idea bank that startups can make use of in the Startup India Hub itself. The next question here is regarding MAARG itself. So, Mr. Prapun Kumar asks if you can share more insights about the special incentives for mentors under MAARG.
Yes. So, based on the activity levels and the number of startups they are actively helping, badges are assigned to mentors on MAARG to recognize their contributions to building the Indian startup ecosystem. Apart from this, we do give recognition on social media to mentors who actually work a lot on a pro bono basis to provide guidance to startups. We help them connect with well performing startups to make sure that their time is utilized in the best possible manner, and startups who really need them are able to connect with them. Apart from that, whenever we are organizing physical events, these mentors who are top contributors to MAARG get special events to national level events as well, like National Startup Awards and any other initiatives that we are conducting. Shambhavi, you're on mute.
Thanks. The next question is that Startup India does not have incubation, right? One of our participants are asking that.
So we directly don't run incubators, but we are connected through a lot of incubators. Via our Startup India Hub, where incubators have come and registered to be a part of the community. Also, we work directly with over 200 incubators as a part of the Startup India Seed Fund scheme, where we provide funding to incubators to pass on to startups that they see are progressing and need money for prototyping. So a list of incubators that we work with is available on the Startup India Seed Fund portal. Even if you just Google it, you'll be able to find a profile list where all incubators, the list of all incubators we work with is available along with their location, contact details, the industries and sectors that they focus on, the equipment available with them. All of this information is available so that you might be able to find the right incubator to support you in your journey.
Thank you, Mukul. The next question is regarding recognition. So one of the user asks if a sole proprietorship can be recognized as a startup under the Startup India initiative.
So, unfortunately, as of now, sole proprietors are not allowed to register as startups, but any other form of entity, be it a one-person company, an LLP, a partnership, all of them are allowed.
Thank you. And in terms of any support that colleges can be provided by the Startup India initiative, could you shed light on the same?
So, in terms of support provided to colleges, again, colleges that are running incubators, a lot of technical colleges, management colleges, and universities have come to us to uh, get funding for their student entrepreneurs who are working with their within their incubators. But apart from that, we have a lot of learning resources in case any students are interested in learning more about entrepreneurship, taking the plunge, how to develop an idea, how to have market access. All of those resources are available online, which may be used by colleges and college students. Apart from that, we do come and do a lot of physical events as well in colleges where we talk about the startup ecosystem, how things are progressing. We sometimes take startups also to interact with students to inspire them and help them develop their ideas and learn on what the journey is like.
Thank you. And from colleges coming to individuals, we have Mr. Anil. He wants to help startups in their journey to globalization. How is it that he can work with Startup India for the same?
So I think this is a very specific uh, field that he wants to help in, and I would strongly encourage him to join as a mentor on MAARG, where we do have startups who look for uh, guidance with respect to scaling or going to new markets in the outside India. So this would be one useful avenue. Other than that, we do have programs where we can outreach people when we have specific initiatives where we need speakers to interact with startups and help them with certain aspects. So once you are registered as a mentor on MARG, you're a part of our database as well, and we do outreach whenever we have a group of startups who are looking for help with something specific.
We have another question from the participants. There's a question on what is the support that is being provided to the edtech startups through Startup India, and are there any incubators that edtech startups can get in touch with?
Yes, so we do, like, all our schemes are sector agnostic, so they are more or less applicable to any entrepreneur working on any sector. Uh, but discounting that, if you want help specifically for the edtech sector, we do have a lot of incubators that focus on edtech. Again, through the incubator profile page on the Seed Fund microsite, you will be able to find the list of these incubators. You'll be able to filter them out as per location as well. And we also have communities that are coming up on MARG. So we are going to relaunch the cohorts on MARG very soon, over the next few days, where we are building communities of startups who work on the similar problems. So there will be an edtech community which we will create, which will have a lot of peers as well as mentors, which will be able to guide edtech entrepreneurs.
Absolutely, Mukund. And any sector focused mentorship, as well as, say, for instance, women is an active cohort again in March. So you can get specific mentorship there as well. The next two questions are also related to Mark. To our audience, we will also be organizing another session tomorrow specifically dealing with Mark. But we'll just address the next two questions as well. The next question is that once you get registered at MARG, is there any fees to be paid? Second, once you get registered as a mentor, how do you go on, as well as a startup, how do you go on further accepting the request or sending the request? So this is one question. The second question is, what is the selection process for MAARG mentors?
Understood. So, I think interesting questions. With respect to fees, no startup has to pay any fee to access the MAARG mentorship platform. It is a government-run platform, and all the mentors sign up to work on a pro bono basis. With respect to finding the right mentor, once you are registered on the platform, you've created your profile. You can create a mentorship requirement where you fill in what sort of sector you're working in, what area or business function you need help with, what sort of stage your startup is in currently, and accordingly you will see a match table where there will be a list of mentors who match your requirements, and you can send a request to them with a text message describing your details. Once you have sent the message to mentors, they will get an email that a startup has approached them. They can log into MAARG and accept or reject the request. If they accept the request, then you will be able to communicate with these mentors. You'll be able to schedule sessions on the MAARG platform itself with the mentors for video interactions, and your sessions will be tracked as well. So you will be able to see progress. There will be a calendar. You will know when the next session is coming up. Both mentors and startups will be able to initiate sessions further. Apart from this, if you want to look through a list of mentors without adding a requirement, you can actually access the entire list as well, and filter out mentors from that list and approach them. Mentors who are looking to reach out to startups who want to contribute to a startup's journey, they don't need to wait for a request to come to them. They can also look at the list of startups on MAARG and approach any idea that they found interesting, because everyone for mentors and startups, both their profiles are available on MAARG. You can look at profiles and see if you find any idea interesting and that you might be able to support. Uh, Mentors who want to work with a larger audience or a larger group of startups, that if they are teaching something that is universal, they might create cohorts. So we have had a couple of very good mentors create cohorts around marketing, create cohorts around fundraising, and startups have joined those cohorts and then learned together over a couple of weeks with respect to sessions.
Thank you, Mukund. We also have a very special cohort soon to be launched that we will be talking about in the next few sessions in the days ahead. We have an interesting question from an international participant here. Now, Nigeria government has Nigeria Startup Act. Do you collaborate with other countries or governments?
Yes, so within Startup India, we do have a team that dedicatedly deals with international collaborations, and we do do formal linkages with them as well. As I talked about the international bridges, so we do have those, which enable in exchanging startups, exchanging facilities, ideas, and enabling market access across both ways. So there is precedent for this happening, and our team actively looks to connect with startup ecosystem of more countries.
Thank you, Mukund. Coming back to ideas, we have one participant here that is registered. That is a DPIT recognized startup. They have ideas, but they want to understand they can fully utilize the support provided through Startup India, and also go ahead with how do they go ahead further with their ideas.
So yes, so I have been very briefly describing all the opportunities available for startups, because again there is a time limitation and we wanted to cover as much ground as possible. But for any recognized startup, if they go to the Startup India hub, you will find like hundreds of pages with respect to different schemes and different opportunities, be it challenges, international collaboration, funding opportunities, idea banks, mentorship opportunities. So if they visit the Startup India hub at startupindia.gov.in, they will be able to find in detail different aspects where we can help them, and how to approach, how to apply for these programs. Once you're selected, how the program will look like, what benefits you will get out of it. So we work across market access, we work across regulatory, we work across funding. Apart from this, if you need guidance, again, there is a huge network of mentors available on MAARG. There's a huge network of incubators that we can connect them to if they want help with prototyping, physically develop their ideas, etc. So anybody who's registered and wants to learn further about what different opportunities are available should definitely go to the Startup India Hub.
We have a slightly technical question next. One of the startup wants to know if a country, if there is a foreign entity, but if there is if there's a subsidiary of a foreign entity eligible to apply as a startup in India.
So this is again technically, if it's a subsidiary of a foreign entity, then the shareholding will be with the foreign entity. Hence, the majority Indian ownership clause will not be satisfied, and they will not be able to register as a recognized startup.
Okay, thank you, Mukund. And just for the reference of all of our participants here, you can always log into www.startupindia.gov.in. There's a contact us page, and you can post all of your specific queries there as well. Our team actively responds to the queries that we receive. So, any specific query that you have, you can always also log into our page. Coming back to another question that one of the participants here asked is, what is the eligibility criteria to be on MAARC as a mentor?
Yes, so eligibility criteria to be a mentor on MAARG is you need to have at least 7 years of full-time work experience in the area that you claim to be an expert in. So let's say you want to help startups with marketing, then we manually look at your profile, we check your LinkedIn and establish that you have been working in the marketing industry for a long period of time. Minimum is 7 years, but we encourage more and more experienced professionals to join in and help the startups. And every profile is manually vetted before we accept them as a mentor on the platform.
Absolutely. I think we can, if you could briefly touch base upon the kind of funding initiatives that we provide, and then we can answer some funding related questions as well. Just briefly, and I understand you have a presentation also for this, Mukund, but just I think 5 minutes or so, and then we can answer a few funding questions as well as the generic questions.
Sure. So I think there will be a lot of common questions around funding. I'll quickly run through all our funding initiatives, which will give a good idea on how they can avail funding opportunities. Let me just present my screen. Let me know once this is visible.
It's visible.
Okay, so I'll just quickly run through a couple of funding opportunities that we have for recognized startups. So this is how we look at the need for funding at different stages and how we've aligned our different funding initiatives. So there is a seed stage, early stage, and late stage. Stage companies are those who are working on refining their ideas, building their prototypes, going to market. For these companies, we have the seed fund scheme to help them just grow from an idea or a prototype to a market ready product. For early stage companies that have gone to the market and have had some acceptance, but then need to grow and need working capital. For these companies, we have the credit guarantee scheme to help them access working capital credit from banks and institutions without providing any collateral. And for late stage startups that have gone to the market and have achieved a product market fit, they have orders coming in and they have customers, and they now want to scale their business, grow pan India or expand abroad. For them, we have the fund of fund scheme where we work with VCs and AIFs to provide funding to growth stage startups. Now, I'll briefly touch upon all these things and how you can apply for them and what is the eligibility criteria as well. So I'll start with seed stage startups. For them, we have the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. As a part of this scheme, over 900 crores have been earmarked to be disbursed over 4 years to seed stage startups working on prototypes and building their ideas. We have partnered with incubators to find these startups, see the deserving ones, and help them. And incubators are also given a management fee so that they don't take any money from startups for running the scheme or providing facilities to these startups. So far, over 1,400 startups have been uh, funded as a part of the seed fund scheme, and more than 250 crores have been given to these startups. These startups are spread across the country. From tier 2, 3 cities, we have more than 50% representation, and a lot of incubators keep getting applications uh, from startups working in the specific area that that incubator is focusing on. So, to how do you apply to this scheme and how the scheme works? So, what we are doing is we are funding incubators, and then it is upon the incubators to assess application from startups and decide the ones that they want to support. Applications are also centralized. So, you file an application with the Startup India Seed Fund portal, and you select the incubator, three incubators that you want to assess your application. If any one of those three selects your application, you can get grant or debt from that incubator. So you can get a grant of up to 20 lakhs or a debt of up to 50 lakhs from those incubators. Now, the eligibility criteria for startups to apply for this scheme is A, you need DPIT recognition. B, your incorporation date should be less than 2 years old. You should have a business idea which is coming with a product like a market fit, or there is a market for that. You should be using technology or innovative business model to provide that solution. And there is a preference to sectors which are key in the eyes of the government. So social impact, waste management, education, healthcare, these sectors receive priority funding when it comes to getting selected by incubators. Any startup who's applying for the seed fund scheme should not have received more than 10 lakhs of monetary support under any other government scheme. And as always, shareholding of Indian promoters have to be at least 51%. So this was a seed fund scheme. If you're interested in getting a grant or a debt to build your prototype from an incubator, get incubated, you can go to the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, log in through your Startup India Hub credentials and create an application. If you want to select which incubator to apply to, if you want help with how to find the right incubator, you can go to the profile page. You can look at what areas they focus on, how much funds they have available to offer to startups. All of that detail is also publicly available on the seed fund site. So this was for the seed stage startups. For startups that are in the market and they need money to service orders or acquire, like grow their customer base, there is credit guarantee scheme. And here the distribution channel is banks and NBFCs who have tied up with DPIT to offer collateral free loans to startups. So if you're a DPIT recognized startup, there is a list of uh, entities that work under the credit guarantee scheme. And if you if you fall under their loan assessment criteria, so they will individually assess your loan application, and if you are eligible to receive a loan, then you will not need to put up any collateral to receive that loan under the credit guarantee scheme. Apart from that, for growth stage startups, startups who are in the market, who have been well received in the market, their products are already successful, they have already built a business. There is the fund of fund scheme where we want to promote Indian investors. So over 10,000 crores have been earmarked to support AIFs. Uh, and here the government is providing money to SIDBI, which is providing money to AIFs as a limited partner to invest in startups. Out of these 10,000 crores, over 4 to 5,000 crores have already been invested in over 900 startups. Now, to reach out to these AIFs who have been supported by the government, you may use the Investor Connect platform, as we already discussed. So here you can create a profile, you can fill out your startup details, you can upload your pitch deck, and you can send connection request to investor to see if they're interested in your idea, or you can apply to opportunities that are made live by investors who are actively looking for startup applications. So these are the different funding opportunities available across the three stages of a startup life cycle. Now, I think we can take more questions in case any startups have across any of these schemes.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the three schemes or funding initiatives for us, Mukul. The first question is how many times can one apply for the Startup India Seed Fund scheme?
So there is a, like, if you apply to three incubators and you get rejected, there is a cooling off period. But you can apply as many times as you want, as long as uh, you fulfill the eligibility criteria. And that eligibility criteria is that you should be less than 2 years old since the date of incorporation on the date of application.
Thank you, Mukul. There is another question that talks about how do you become DPIT recognized. We did touch base on that a little bit in the in an initial presentation, but if you could just quickly share how can you become a DPIT recognized startup?
Yes. So for DPIT recognition, once you have your entity registered, you can just create an account on the Startup India Hub, startupindia.gov.in. From there, the recognition process is completely online. It happens via the National Single Window System. There are a couple of documents that need to be uploaded, and within 48 hours, you get a response on your application. In case there is something missing, you will be asked to re-upload those or change those documents. If everything is in order, you get your recognition certificate over email.
Thank you. And just also, can ideation based startups apply?
So if you have a registered entity, then you are eligible to apply based on what business you are planning to build, and it will be judged on the criteria of the business idea.
Great, Mukund. We have another question. It's from Mr. Aditya Singhal. He asks if we are at an early stage, how can we apply for further funding, or do we need to stick only to seed funding?
So on the Investor Connect platform, we are working to get more and more investors who invest in seed stage as well. So the idea is to onboard investors to make seed stage, growth stage funding available on the Investor Connect platform very soon. Apart from that, if you look at the funding page, we have a page where we have started compiling a list of all the grants available for early stage startups through different ministries, through different institutions, which is again not an exhaustive list, but a good place to get started. On the networking section of the Startup India Hub, there is also uh, contacts for a lot of angel investors that you may reach out to. But on the networking part for angel investors, those are not verified. So you will have to do your due diligence before you make deals with them.
Yeah. In addition to what you just said, the Startup India page also has a list of collated list of government schemes that are available for funding that you just highlighted upon as well. So, in case there is of course the Startup India Seed Fund scheme, but you can also reach out to other government ministry for various schemes as well. Next question is how to find out if an incubator has money.
So this was a common challenge, and what we have done is now on the incubator profile page, the available funds with them is also displayed. So if they have already committed all their funds, you will be able to know it on their profile itself on the Startup India website.
Thanks, Mukund. Yeah, that is a question that is often asked by startups in most interactions as well. Another question is that how do you create a winning pitch deck?
So again, we have a lot of online resources with respect to creating a pitch deck, how to present your business idea. We also did a session a couple of days back with Professor Zubnath, who wanted to guide startups on what all elements and what questions to answer in your pitch deck. In case you still face this difficulty, a lot of mentorship is available on MAARG as well on refining pitch decks. There are a lot of mentors available there who might be able to help you with respect to your pitch deck and provide one-on-one guidance.
Dr. Patil also asks if there is any support that may be available by Startup India to set up an incubation facility.
So as of now, we don't provide support to set up incubation facilities. We work with incubators who are already set up, but there are different government schemes. There is, I think, Department of Science and Technology that works on helping incubators set up their infrastructure and set up facilities.
Okay, thank you. And with respect to the Startup India Seed Fund scheme, could you explain the grant bit part of it in a slightly more in a more detailed manner?
Yes, so based on the assessment of incubator of your idea, your application for the seed fund scheme, and based on what your requirement is, incubator can offer you money in terms of grants or in terms of debt instruments. So grant is money that again you don't have to return, but you have to provide an expense report on how you are using that money and what progress you have made. There is a limitation. The grant that an incubator gives you can be up to 20 lakhs only, which will be dispersed
Hmm.
in tranches. But if you have a larger requirement, you can get debt or convertible debentures from the incubator up to a maximum of 50 lakhs. And there are very easy payment terms and low interest rate to support you to make larger expenses and help you in your journey to go to the market.
Noted, Mukul. Thank you. We have an interesting question here. The government itself is solving unemployment and unskilled resources from undergraduate. What if an individual is working in a similar area with a different approach? Would government invest on seed funding or any funding?
So again, the investment or decision to invest depends on the external resources. So be it the seed fund scheme, where incubator has their own list of experts who decide each and every application. If it's a credit guarantee scheme, the banks and the lending institutions look at every application to see if you have enough cash flows to support that loan. And even if it's the fund of fund scheme on Investor Connect, where every investor, based on their own investment thesis, takes a decision on funding. So if you believe that you have an idea which is commercializable, which is of interest to investors, you can approach the right scheme based on your stage, and they will be able to take a call based on your application.
Noted, Mukul. Thank you. And now we have two sector focused questions. One is that is a game project studio considered to be a startup? And our participant says that 2024 will be the year for game developers. That is the first question. And second question is that any guidelines for government e-tech or e-government domain-based startups?
Yes, so game studios definitely, if they are a new business and they are trying to develop something new, they can be considered a startup and they can apply for recognition. There is absolutely no doubt on that. With respect to e-services or government e-startups, I will need some more clarity on what exactly are they looking for. If they want to help provide services to the government and they get recognized as a startup, they will be able to participate in all these tenders launched by ministries to develop e-products, and they will be able to get certain exemptions compared to normal companies with respect to EMD and prior experience. So if there is a huge project that you want to apply for, but it has a restriction in terms of how big your company is, how much experience do you have. If you have a DPIT recognition, those will not apply to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mukul. Does low CIBIL score have an effect on funding for a startup?
So that will depend on the investor and what sort of due diligence they do. It depends from investor to investor. So since we are not directly providing any funding, this channel is open to investors for themselves to decide. Uh, I know for a fact that certain VCs do a background check and due diligence on founders, and then they may take a decision based on that as well.
Another question is that as we grow, this is from a startup, will the incubator be a partner or have a percentage share when they provide grants?
So when they provide grants, they will not take any percentage share or they will not take any partnership or commitment. Grant is completely a grant. The cost of your incubation will be covered by the management fee that is paid to the incubators. However, if it's a debt and if you opted for debt under the seed fund scheme, you have to pay back the money or based on the CCD or whatever instrument you have used, debentures, convertible notes, that will depend on the agreement that you have negotiated with the incubator. So, other than that, there is no fee to be paid. If you have taken money in debt form, you can return the money and there will be no equity loss. If you have been given a grant, there is no equity given anyhow.
Thank you, Mukul. We do have certain questions. We have two, three more questions, but in the interest of time, we would be wrapping up this session. But to all of our participants, as I explained a few moments before, you can always log into startupindia.gov.in. We have a contact us page as well. Please post in your queries there, and our team will actively get back to you. You can, if you're facing specific questions, say with respect to the Startup India Seed Fund scheme, you can also always take a screenshot of what exactly is where you're facing a particular lag, and you can reach out to us. I would like to thank Mukund for joining us today and for patiently answering all of the questions that our startups and enablers had. For all of our participants, again, this is a mentorship series specifically for budding entrepreneurs. It is organized by the MAARG platform, so the National Mentorship Platform. The idea is to connect startups with mentors. With specialized industrial or functional for expertise in specialized functions and industries. We are doing this series as part of our celebrations for the National Startup Day on 16 January and as part of the Innovation Week. This is the fourth series, fourth session for the mentorship series. We also have a session tomorrow, and we will also be having an Ask Me Anything session day after as well. We'll be sharing the links for that on our pages actively. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good day and a very happy National Startup Day. Thank you.